Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in this week of WWE Weekly. Of course, we're going to talk about Smackdown, but it's only going to be so briefly, as a lot of that was a little bit solved for the Backlash PLE, which you can catch my preview in the cards above. We're going to talk about Raw, but the main thing of this episode, and the main thing I want to talk about is how, to me, John Cena's heel turn hasn't lived up to expectations, and it's been kind of a flop in my opinion. But before I get into all that, make sure you guys leave this video a like as it continues to help this channel to grow and it beats the YouTube algorithm. And if you are a first-time viewer and you are not subscribed, go ahead and click that notification bell and click that subscribe button so you will not miss any of the videos that I post on this channel. Let's just get right into this episode. Now, first things first, Smackdown, of course, with the whole Damian Priest, LA Knight, and Jacob Fatu solo Secor tag team match, which was solid, but that set up what we had at Backlash. So I'm not going to tie too much into that because a lot of that set that up. It was a good match in its own right, set that up. Now, Alexa Bliss made her return with Zelina Vega being the partner in Chelsea Green versus Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Now, I'm glad to see Alexa Bliss back on TV. She hasn't really been back since the Elimination Chamber, if I want to believe, which I was hoping they kind of put her in the plans for a WrestleMania contest with Liv Morgan. I would like to see those two go one-on-one. But nonetheless, Alexa Bliss comes back and asks Zelina Vega's tag team partner against Green and Niven. And Green and Niven ended up taking a loss in this match. Then Charlotte Flair came out irate and very frustrated, not only with the loss of WrestleMania, the way she's been treated, and I am one that kind of happy she's getting booed because I'm not a big fan of the way the WWE presents Charlotte all the time. So I'm glad about that. Jade Cargill, my girl, comes walking out and basically distracts her. But we did get the #1 contenders match for the women's title, which Nia Jax ended up winning from outside of a distraction of Naomi. I think this was a solid match. I think they're starting to give Jade Cargill a little bit more run as a singles competitor, and they're continuing the Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax feud, which has been brewing probably since last year when she kept debating back and forth when she wanted to cash in Money in the Bank. But that was a solid match, and it continues the whole the Jade Cargill and Naomi feud, which I don't see no end no time soon with the way these two girls have been going at each other. And I have a funny feeling that Bianca will be inserted into the feud at some point. Mark my words. But Fraxium defeated the Street Profits in the match. Street Profits came out and made a promo on their TLC match that happened a couple of weeks ago. And Fraxium, they challenged them to a match, and ended up Fraxium being winning. This was an awesome match with this back and forth between Fraxium and Street Profits. That was a hell of a match, but I've always said Fraxium needed to be in Raw's tag team division because I think having a team like Fraxium and the way they can go in the ring, they need to be on the Raw side of the tag team division. That's just me. SmackDown's tag team division has already been prevalent, and it's already been heavily featured, and it's already got good storylines. I think if you would have putting Fraxium on Monday Night Raw, I think you would have had a lot better of a tag team division than what stands on Monday Night Raw right now. But you have Aleister Black defeating Carmelo Hayes. Two things about this thing. One, get Carmelo Hayes away from The Miz. Get him away from The Miz. It's not going to go anywhere. Get him away from The Miz. Two, Aleister Black. I like Aleister Black, but I think it needs to be more of a story of him coming back and things like that. I just believe in my heart that Carmelo Hayes needs to get away from The Miz. They need to give him a really good singles push as he was given in NXT. I really feel that way. Andrade and Rey Fenix defeat Slow Garza, and that continues the feud with Andrade trying to get it to Angel Umberto's head. Rey Fenix coming back, and him and Santos Escobar having kind of a feud. So I think all the storylines of this particular match tied together. Solid match, but I just want to see a little bit more of Rey Fenix, because I'm really a fan of what he's been able to do. But nonetheless, And then at the end of the night, you had the RKO situation with John Cena coming out and coming to promo. Like I said, I'm not gonna say I can't, but I won't just get too much into that because a lot of that already played out in Backlash. Like I said, I'll leave my preview in the cards, or review of that, in the cards. Today's video is brought to you by Cellular C4. This is a product that I personally used before I even decided to partner with them. And the first thing I got introduced to was the energy drinks by C4. This right here is a fruit punch flavor. They have many other flavors. They have popsicle flavors that just dropped. They have Skittles, Starburst, all the type of flavors that you want. To help you get started with your day, you can wake up in the morning before you start your day and drink you one of those. And also before you get that workout in, when it's workout day, you can take you some pre-workout. To help you get the boost in your workout, all the products, 0 sugar, low calories. This is a great product to take you in your workouts and your journey on fitness to the next level. And I am happy to partner with a product that I was already using in my own personal life. And I will leave my code in the description below to save you guys 20% on your first purchase of C4, of their workouts. They even have muscle recovery to help boost after workouts. They have so many supplements and things to help you on your fitness journey, and you can get yours today in the description below. Click the link and use my code APW Sports to help you save 20%. And again, the links are in the description below, and use the code APW Sports to save you 20% on your purchase. Now, it is time to get back into the video. All right, we're going to get into Monday Night Raw, which started out with Second City Saint, my hometown guy, CM Punk coming out to cut a promo on him being frustrated at himself for trusting Paul Heyman, him being frustrated at himself to letting things happen the way it has, him being frustrated at Seth, and letting the world also know that Jey Uso warned him about Paul Heyman, but he thought that those would bygones be bygones. They put the stuff in the past, and let's keep this game continuing to go forward. But then we're interrupted by Paul Heyman, interrupted by Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins, which Seth Rollins basically said, if it wasn't for you, which is true, if it wasn't for you, I would be World Heavyweight Champion right now, which I'm glad of that. Then it cut into a promo where he was kind of frustrated and saying that CM Punk is the last martyr. And that was really good. It came out. Bron Breakker went to attack CM Punk, which led to Sami Zayn coming out and helping. And they're both getting a heads up when World Heavyweight Champion Jey Uso came out and then helped the three finish off Breakker and Rollins. But later on, Rollins was talking to Breakker, and he was talking about they don't know what I'm capable of. They don't know what I have to go. They don't know what lengths I'm willing to go. They don't know. They think they got the ball up. And that culminated into Jey Uso having a match next week against Bron Breakker, but also Bron Breakker, Seth Rollins versus CM Punk and Sami Zayn was announced for Saturday night's main event in 2 weeks. And then we have Penta versus Chad Gable, and I'll be the one that personally says that Chad Gable needs to get away from this damn El Grande Americano BS. But nonetheless, the two put on a very good match. A very good match that ended up with Penta ended up picking up the victory after hitting a Mexican Destroyer off of the top rope to Chad Gable, which turned out to be a very good match. And then we had the New Day come out to the ring to be guest commentators for the Creed Brothers versus the War Raiders. And overall, with the whole New Day dodging the War Raiders situation, the Creed Brothers, which I think also a very solid tag team. But the match was solid. I just really think that, like I said earlier, Fraxium needed to be on Monday Night Raw. I like the New Day. I'm willing to see how they're going to continue with this heel thing. And the War Raiders are a good tag team, which ended up being a loss and being distracted when both Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston came out and gave a little bit of distraction. Kofi Kingston came up and messed with Ivar on the top rope, which ended up the Creed brothers ended up hitting the Brutus ball for the win. So it was a very good meet. It was a solid match, but then that announced it being a triple threat tag team match with War Raiders, New Day, and the Creed brothers. And I don't know if it's next week or not. I don't remember they announced it for next week, and then Jey Uso comes out to cover promo, only to be interrupted by Gunther, who vowed to challenge whoever wins the Saturday night main event between Uso and Logan Paul. And I'm willing to interested to see where they're going to go with Gunther with him not having a title, because like he said, 80% of the time he's been in the WWE roster, he has had a title. So I'm interested to see where they're going to go with that. I'll just be honest right now. I don't want Logan Paul to win the Saturday Night Live event. And it's not because I hate him. It's going to be just like his United States title reign. It's going to be in and out, and I don't want another in and out champion. I don't. I really don't. But AJ Styles versus Finn Balor, which is crazy because the Pat McAfee and Michael Cole was like, "Where's Dom? Where's Dom?" Very solid match between two of former Bullet Club members and leaders. Two very good wrestlers. I still wish Finn Balor don't seem like he's going to win anything at some point. And, of course, when you have a Judgment Day match, you're going to have shenanigans. Just going to happen. But, at the last, Balor collected with 1917, but Styles kicks out. And the Distractors gives off. And then Penta comes out and hits JB McDonough and gets Carlito to end up having AJ Styles to be right one-on-one, and he gets the Phenomenal Forearm to pick up the victory in that match. So, and then the match next week for also Penta and AJ Styles versus the Judgment Day, which should be a very good match. Then we had Becky Lynch come out and cut a promo. I know we had, I'll get back. I know we had Sheamus backstage. We had Grayson Waller back in the promos that they do that's in between the breaks. They did Sheamus was announced to have a match with Grayson Waller next week, which Grayson Waller tried to get Austin Theory into it, but Theory, I just wish they split those two up already. I really do. I really wish they split those two up already. Theory and Waller just not hitting it for me anymore. But either way it goes, you have Becky Lynch come out and cut a promo on how if she's not doing for titles, she's not doing this, then why she's here, she's going to go full force. And she was talking about how Lyra ended up in the hospital, but she's the one that walked out unscathed when it comes to their Backlash match. And Becky Lynch's heel turn is done. It's been a very good heel turn. I'm glad it put Lyra Valkyria over at Backlash, but it still gives momentum for Becky Lynch's heel turn, and it gives momentum for whenever Bayley comes back, because I think that might be a SummerSlam setup, if we're going to be honest. It gives a thing for when Becky Lynch came back and attacked Bayley and inserted herself in the WrestleMania match. But then we had Io Sky and Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez and Julia. This was a very good women's match. Julia making her Raw debut. Roxanne Perez, I see more and more why she's called the Prodigy. The things that she can do in the ring is crazy. We know what Rhea Ripley and Io Sky can do. And it was a very, very good match. It was a back and forth. It took a while for Rhea to get in as the crowd was screaming, "We want Rhea." It was a very good match that ended up with Rhea hitting Riptide on Julia for the victory. And when they were raising hands, Rhea Ripley couldn't keep her eyes off that Women's World Championship, which I think that is a match that they're going to be set up at some point. And are we going to get a heel turn from one of Io or Rhea? More than likely, maybe Rhea, but we shall see. It's all setting up a match between Io and Rhea Ripley for the Women's World title at some point. How is Bianca going to fare in this? I don't know, but that is my thoughts on Raw. both SmackDown and Raw, I give them both 7 out of 10. I give SmackDown about 6 out of 10. I give Raw 7 out of 10 as far as the shows go. Now I want to give my thoughts on the whole John Cena heel turn. I got a lot of ways I can go with this. Number one, it happened too early. It happened too early, and 2, The Rock, if they wanted to have the heel turn and not sell and not give a storyline to it, at least at that point, The Rock should have never been involved. And I think they pulled the trigger too early because, yes, it would have been, a lot of people said it would have been face versus face, Cena versus Cody Rhodes. And of course, that was a match we wanted to see anyway. And I think the way the WrestleMania match played out, it didn't live up to expectations that we usually get from big John Cena matches, was because of the heel turn. If he would have had face Cena and face Cody Rhodes, you would have had a lot different way of performing the match and back and forth moments between each superstar, which would have had a better setup to a John Cena heel turn at WrestleMania. And that would have sent way more shockwaves. That would have been way more disappointing. I mean, for some people that were rooting for Cena, rooting for Cena would have been, I'm not going to say disappointing, it would have been way more of a swerve to do it at the biggest stage, his last WrestleMania in his career. Then he turns heel. Then I think the heel turn would have more steam heading into post-WrestleMania. Because doing it at Elimination Chamber with The Rock, I just personally feel that the way it played out, number one, The Rock wasn't fully committed to it, and I think that is a big reason that is at fault. Because if you're going to get into a storyline to where John Cena kind of sells his soul to The Rock, and The Rock, for him to not show up at WrestleMania at all, to have not more of a factor into this whole storyline, and then you add Travis Scott out of all people at WrestleMania, this heel turn has not been, I think, what a lot of people wanted, or a lot of people kind of expected. The story of it doesn't make much sense where you kind of try to poke holes to it. You try to connect some dots. There's not really much there because The Rock was not really much of a mention, maybe outside of maybe 1 or 2 mentions of John Cena turning heel. But basically, he sold his soul to The Rock. It's not been many mentions of him. 2, and then out of all people, like I said, you get at the WrestleMania match, you get Travis Scott. You pulled the trigger too damn early. And then it's not a storyline that plays into it. I think, number one, if you're going to have The Rock do this angle, you should have had more commitment from him. 2, although John Cena's been playing some really good promos, I think some of the matches have been a little bit lackluster, and it's been, especially WrestleMania. Now, him versus Orton, I think that was a very good match at Backlash. Very solid match, but the heel turn, when we're talking about the specifics of it, it just hasn't lived up. Now, I've always been one, and I'll be honest with you guys, I've been one to say, John Cena, to me, and this is talking about his entire career, he's never moved the needle for me. Whether it's been Thugonomics, which that was the era where I didn't watch, where we're talking about Super Cena, where they're talking about the Money in the Bank with CM Punk in 2011, whether we're talking about all this time, I've never been the biggest fan of Cena, but I've also never hated him. But it's just, I think, and then another thing that factors into this heel turn, not necessarily playing out the best, it would make more sense, and it would have made more of a difference, and it probably would have had more magnitude if we didn't know he was leaving in 8 months. If we didn't know he was leaving at the end of the year. I think us as fans and him announcing that he was leaving at the end of this calendar year, I think it kind of puts a little bit of a damper into it because we know there is an end line somewhere. Now, if we had this maybe some years back and didn't know he was retiring coming soon, and we didn't know if there was going to be a finish line to it, I think it would have more magnitude. with him announcing and them announcing that he was going to retire at the end of the year, and then the heel turn happened, there's only so much time that you can do, and there's so much only that you can do with this heel turn, because you know there's an end that the public knows. Now, if it would have been something if we didn't know he was retiring, it would have been a whole different magnitude of ball game. But now that we know that John Cena is retiring at calendar year's end, now that we know there is an end date to it, no more, and then he gets the 17th championship, which makes him the GOAT, which he's personally not my GOAT. My GOAT is a Texas rattlesnake who drinks beer and rides around on ATVs. But it would have hit a little bit different if it didn't happen in. It would have hit a little bit different if it happened at WrestleMania, and it would have happened a little bit different, even if that Elimination Chamber still seems the same, but then The Rock plays more of a story into it. And then maybe even if that, you maybe have somebody come out on Cody's behalf to help at WrestleMania. Maybe you still give the match to Cena, but it would have told more of a story if it's not just Travis Scott coming out and that's it. Nobody on Cody's behalf to kind of come out. You don't have The Rock come out. I just think this whole story of John Cena heel turn, I think it's been a little bit fumbled in those three phases of the WWE. Now, there's still more time that I personally think that they could recover the storyline and make things more interesting for it. But then on top of that, he has already a set amount of dates left. It's just one of those things where I think if executed better, would have hit differently. And it's setting up for probably a rematch with Cody at SummerSlam so far. And I personally have a thing where he cannot retire a heel. John Cena cannot retire a heel. And there's probably going to be some type of a storyline where he realized what he did was wrong and then he blames The Rock for it at some point. I just think that could be a good route to go. To want to retire him, he probably loses the title at some point, and then he realizes what he did was not necessarily the greatest thing, selling the soul to The Rock to get the title. He apologized to the fan base. At least that's the way I would go with it at this point. That would probably be more of a way to sell the heel turn and making more sense of it and getting The Rock back involved, even though that's a little bit touchy. But it's just this heel turn just has not worked. I'm not going to say it hasn't worked. It just hasn't. I think it's been a bit of a flop. And I would be honest, I think it's been a bit of a flop because it seemed rushed. And I think if they would have waited to pull the trigger at WrestleMania, I think it would have been much better off than where they are right now. There is time still to recover this. But those are my thoughts. That concludes this week's episode of WWE Weekly. Make sure you guys leave this video a like and continue to help this channel to grow and beat the algorithm. Comment your thoughts on the John Cena heel turn down below and your thoughts on Raw and Smackdown. I am APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great next of the day. And I will catch you guys on the next video. Peace.